Okay, so we're going to start off with 24 gauge wire cloth. I'm going to start off by making two 12 by 24 inch cuts. Okay, so as you can see right here, you might not be able to see with this camera, I have my first 12 by 24 section cut. And I'm going to put that on top of what I've already got here laid out, which is a 5-foot roll. And I'm going to use my tin snips to cut as evenly as I can. It's a very slow process along the line of this 12 by 24. When I'm done cutting that, I'm going to take these and clean up all of my edges. It's a very tedious process, but it is really nice in the end to have these cleaned up. You're not cutting yourself. Okay, so now that I've got my 12 by 24 inch piece cut, I'm going to find the halfway point in this, which is obviously 12 inches. I'm going to mark a line on that. And I'm going to take a 90-degree angle, put it on that line, and bend this over. Okay, so I've got my piece of wood here, and I'm just going to simply press down on this, bend this up, and try and get a nice corner. At this point, I'm going to try and get the waves out of it and clean up all of these edges along here so I don't cut myself while I'm putting it out of the water. As you can see, this is what it's going to look like roughly at the end. As I was building it, I was thinking about it, and I decided to do 3 cuts of 12 by 24, and it actually ended up using less material and I think coming together a little bit better. So as you can see, I just pull this apart and take the top and the side off. This is 2 sides and side and the bottom. So I'm going to go through now, kind of make these a little bit straighter with a piece of wood and some weight. Let them set for a little bit, and then I'm going to come through and put entrances and a way to dump the fish out of it, and then zip tie it all together. And while we're on the subject of that, I was using hog rings. I had gotten 3/8 of an inch hog rings, and they were too big for this, and it was leaving a little bit of a gap. It was leaving about this much of a gap on the sides. I don't know if you can see that. It was leaving about that much of a gap on the sides of the hog rings. So I'm going to be using zip ties for this. And honestly, by the time I get done spray painting and everything like that, you're not going to be able to tell. And I think it's also going to last longer than the hog rings will. Okay, so we got all the sides cut out and put together. I did the best I could trying to get it straightened out. So now what we're going to do is figure out where we're going to put the opening to get the fish out of once we catch them. And I'm going to put it right along here. I'm just going to mark this with a Sharpie. I'm going to go pretty big on this just because they're a pain to get out. And also we're going to need entrances. And normally I would do 2. I'm thinking about just doing 1 on this one. I'm going to come through with the Sharpie. I'm going to mark about 4 to 5 inches up and across and back down. I'm going to cut this out, and I'm going to make a run for the fish to get in and out of. So I'll cut this out, come back and show you guys how I make the run, and then we'll put it all together. Alright, so I know it's going to be really hard to see on here just because of all the wiring. And I'm going to show you just cutting out the top. So I'm going to do this, and then with my leftover wire, I'm going to make a bigger bigger cover, so that I can put it over this and not have to worry about it falling down into the trap and cutting myself getting it in and out. As you can see, I've got the opening here to dump the fish out of after I catch them, and I'll keep this for the run. And I'm just going to go through and clean up all these edges so it's easier to get the fish in and out. So like I said earlier, we're going to save the cutout from the hole to get the fish out. And I'm going to use that. And I already traced the line. I'm going to cut out another one of these, exactly the same size. And I'm going to use that for my run to get the fish in and out. Okay, so I put the run together for the fish to come in. What's going to happen is it's going to butt up to our hole right here. This is 6 inches along the sides, 4 inches on the top, 3 inches on the back. I'm going to zip tie this together real quick. And we're almost done. All we got to do is put the top on after that. So I'm going to use one zip tie to hold 3 parts together. I'm not going to tighten it down all the way. I want to get a good seat on this. And as you can see, I have a little bit of a lip here. And that just helps to keep this all together. It's a little flimsy with this 24 gauge. Probably going to step it up next time. But I think this is going to do just fine for the amount of money we're saving. And while we're on that subject, if you go to your local bait shop and you want to get one of these fish traps or try and order one online, you're looking at about $40 for the size that I'm making right now. In total, with buying the hog rings, which I'm not even using on this project, I have about $22 into one. And I have enough material to make 2 of these. So they're about half price. Okay, so as you can see, that is nice and tight on there, so I'm going to trim all these tabs off of my zip ties. And like I said, you can use the hog rings on there, just don't get the big 3/4 inch or 3/8 hog rings. They're too big. Okay, so we've got the run in, we've got the sides kind of squared up. I think I'm going to have to trim this down 1 square. But we're about to see. Probably need to put that on the top. And yes, I'm going to have to bring that down 1 square. So I want the side to be on the outside of the piece I just put in. So I'm going to go through and do my back corner. And this is the time where you really want to try and get things squared off. Our front corner. I'm going to leave the side on the top not attached right now because I'm going to have to trim it. You want to really tighten these down good. I'm going to get a nice seat on it. So I found a pretty decent fit is the 2 corners and 1 in the middle. If you're worried about fish getting out, you can always do more. It's just cost average. Cheaper to do 3. Just because sometimes these things like to somehow disappear when they're out in the ocean. I've got this side connected, this side connected, this side connected, and this side connected. I'm going to trim down 1 on this side right here just to make it a better fit. I'll be back with you guys. Okay, so like I said, I cut a bigger piece for opening to get the fish in and out of. And I'm going to use the hog rings back here so that it swivels easier than it would with zip ties. You'll see what I was talking about when I said they were too big. I have the hog ring pliers that I ordered off Amazon, and the 3/8" hog rings. Put them in a little divot in there. It's definitely a two-handed process. Okay, so as you can see, that wouldn't give you a very tight, you might not be able to see that with all the wire, but it wouldn't give you a very tight edge, so the fish might be able to get in and out. I just use that on the top, and when I go to put it out in the water, I'm going to put a zip tie here, here, and on the front. Fish will swim in for the bait and get trapped in here, and when I get it, I'll just cut the zip ties. Only thing I have left to do now, attach a rope and a buoy, and throw it out in the water and see how it goes. Like I said, this is coming out to be a little bit less than half price than what you can get it at a bait shop for. It took me about an hour to do this. Isn't terrible. It looks pretty good, but we'll do a torture test on it, and I'll show you guys how that looks in the next video.